Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
They didn't have a primary. They were able to pick a candidate who could run as a conservative, who ran against the minority leader, who ran on a conservative agenda. You will have primaries in all these other races, and the primaries bring them to the left. So I just don't think that this is something they're going to be able to see a repeat of.
Okay. So running as a pro-union guy is suddenly, just far right is what it is. Suddenly running to protect people's pensions is, suddenly a far right issue. Having a personal feeling about, as a man, you would never have an abortion, which I applaud. If you're a man and you don't want to ever have an abortion, say so. Speak out. I'm having one right now. As you know, I have them daily. I just, sometimes I let the pregnancy go a few days, and then I have it. Wait, I'm going to skip a few days, and I'm going to wait, and then I'm going to have a late-term one. On the air. No, I mean, honestly, they just don't know what to say about this. This should have been a lock. They spent $10 million, the Republicans did, on Ricksack. They spent $10 million on a really bad candidate who couldn't fundraise himself out of a paper bag. They spent $10 million on a candidate who said, the reason why you're voting against me is because you hate God. Did you learn nothing from Roy Moore? I mean, honestly, in Alabama, we now have Doug Jones as a sitting U.S. senator, a Democratic senator from Alabama. Paul, what's it gonna take? And, by the way, I have to tell you, Connor Lamb had a few things to say about, where he stands on Nancy Pelosi and Paul Ryan.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't presume to give lessons to people outside the district. I think every district is pretty different.
That's the thing.
Like I said, hard work really pays off. I think that in this environment, no offense to all my friends who make their living on TV, campaigning in real life, in small rooms, door to door, person to person, it works, and I learned a lot doing it, and I think that helped our campaign an awful lot, and I would advise anybody, no matter where they are, to do that.
Connor, it's Willie Geist. Congratulations on your apparent win, which we're calling it here at NBC. You made the case on the campaign trail over the last several months that there needs to be new leadership in Washington. And you said so at the top of both parties. You said it wasn't personal toward Nancy Pelosi, but you believe it was a new day in Washington. So when you arrive in Washington, assume you do win this election, do you think Nancy Pelosi should go?
Well, I don't know that we're there yet. I mean, my understanding is there wouldn't be a leadership vote this year, and in this year of all years, we've got a couple more elections to go for me before we'd ever get there. However, yes, I have said, and I continue to say, that I think we need new leadership at the top of both parties in the House, and so I'd like to see someone besides Nancy Pelosi run, and that's who I would support. But I definitely would like to see a different leader than Paul Ryan on the other side.
What is it about Nancy Pelosi specifically that you believe makes her unqualified to do the job, or that at least she should go?
Well, it's nothing personal. I just think that the leadership of both parties have presided over a time when we've had more and more gridlock and fewer important things getting done. And I always learn that responsibility starts at the top. So I think we need to sweep some new people in there.
You bastard. Oh, you Republican bastard. Yeah, I mean, everybody was, like, why do you think Nancy Pelosi has to go? Well, I said Paul Ryan, too. I think the leadership in both, the Democratic and the Republican Party, I think that they have, created gridlock and, hatred, and they spew and they can't get along. And so perhaps it's time to put two new people in the leadership position. However, there will not be a vote on who the Democratic leader of the House should be this year. There probably won't be one. I'll tell you who's going to get primaried. I mean, they're out there going, well, he never would have won in this conservative district as a Democrat because the left would have primaried. This is so ridiculous. I'll tell you who's going to get primaried. Donald Trump's going to get primaried. The sitting president, the current president, the incumbent president is going to see somebody from the Republican Party run in a primary against Donald Trump should he make it to 2020. Should he make it? I mean, there's no question in my mind that the Republicans are going to get even with this dude. They can't stand him. And now they're losing. I mean, this is just a precursor. They lost Alabama. They lost a Senate seat in Alabama. And they chalked that one up to, well, Roy Moore was such a flawed candidate. Flawed? He was a child molester, and the president of the United States freaking endorsed him. I mean, come on. After he endorsed Luther Strange, who lost the primary. And then he moved on to, I'll endorse a child molester. Just vote Roy Moore. Vote for Roy Moore. Kellyanne Conway is now being investigated for violations of the Hatch Act because she went on the TV and told people in Alabama, vote for Roy Moore. And she's not supposed to do that from the official position of the briefing room as a member of the White House. And she did it anyway because this is how desperate they were to keep Alabama. And Alabama was close. Freaking-Bama. And they lost it. They lost Alabama. So now they've lost, another district, a House district in Western Pennsylvania. It's number 18, which, it's partly the suburbs of Pittsburgh and partly. And I've lived there. So don't tell me I don't know. Not in Western Pennsylvania, just in Appalachia. So I kind of get it. But people are just so sick of it. They're so sick of it. They voted for this guy because they thought he was the better man. Not everybody is so freaking partisan that they can't see that this man who is currently headed, the leader of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, is an asshole. And that whatever he says is not just a lie, but it's beyond that. It's meaningless. It doesn't matter what he says. He can say he's for, an assault weapons ban on Monday. On Tuesday, he says he's for raising the age. And then on Wednesday, he has a meeting with the NRA. And by Thursday, he doesn't want any new gun laws. And you know what? The kids in our country, they want new gun laws. And did you see? This is what democracy looks like today, okay? I hate to tell them, but this is what democracy looks like when people vote for the best candidate, not the flawed candidate because it's got an R after its name. When people can go to the polls after the president. I sort of thought that, Rick Sack would lose this election in PA because he saw, Donald Trump, the whole place, the whole district saw Donald Trump Jr. in a hairnet. And I thought that was a little, off-putting. Maybe that's why he lost. But no, Donald Trump goes there and he talks to these people who are looking for leadership, who are looking for solutions to difficult problems like poverty, a dearth of jobs, a complete and utter move toward automation that took their jobs first and then second, that their jobs just moved. They were looking for some answers. And what does Donald Trump do? He did everything he could ahead of this election. He passed a tax cut, their $1.50 didn't move them. Steel tariffs for steel country didn't move them. Nothing, because they all know it's crap. They all know it's nothing. Everybody gets it. And then this man shows up and he's completely unhinged and talks for 75 minutes about himself, calling the media fake and poisonous and sons of bitches and these people know, fake media. It's ridiculous. They want solutions. They want to see something happen. So they voted for the best candidate. And I got news for you. This whole thing, with the guns thing, the kids are sick of it. They're sick of the NRA. They're sick of it. They're sick of lobbyists making the law instead of representatives representing the district. That's why Conor Lamb won. He is from there. He talks the way that they talk. He was pragmatic and humorless. And so they voted for him because he seemed like a stable person. And that's what we're down to in this country, just stability. The kids, 3,000 schools today had walkouts at 10 o'clock this morning. 3,000 schools across this country. That was unprecedented in American history, what you saw this morning. That was nationally organized walkouts by 17 and 16 and 15-year-old children who have had enough of being gunned down in America. They've had it. They're sick of it. They went out at 10 o'clock this morning, and they sat there with fists in the air and signs in the air and sat in silence for 17 minutes. You know how hard it is for a teenager to sit still for 17 minutes, let alone not talk or tweet or text or, play Candy Crush? Do you have any idea what it took for the boys not to play, Worlds of War? Oh, my God, they did it. And they did it on Pennsylvania Avenue right in front of the White House. And they planned to march later to the Capitol, which they did. And then you have all these other schools. You had universities, you had middle schools, you had high schools, all walking out today. 3,000 schools across this country. That is what democracy looks like. They are exercising freedom of assembly. Remember that one? Or are we only ever going to talk about number 2? Which has been decided like it's number 2. It was a shitty decision, that Heller decision. Up until 2008 in the Heller decision that Antonin wrote, we actually held as a country from 1791, when we got the Bill of Rights, all the way till 2008, that there was no individual right to keep and bear arms unless it had to do with service in the militia. And we have a militia. It's called the National Guard. And they choose who they want to be part of them now, and only if you're MOS, only if you're AFSC, your job description includes using a gun to do your job. Do you get a gun? And then you put it in the armory. You don't get to take it home. Just saying. I think we solved that problem a long time ago, and that's why the NRA went crazy. And they said, we got to go to the Supreme Court. We got to go to the Supreme Court. There is no, there's no need for anybody to have a gun. We need an interpretation, and we got the right makeup of the Supreme Court right now to do it. Bring this case. Bring this case. Who's Heller? Heller is a police officer from D.C. That's who he is, a police officer. And they went all the way to the Supreme Court because he said he had the right to have a gun. He had a right to have a gun. And Antonin, before he died, decided, all right. You can't, you can't say you can have any gun. Can't say you can have an AR. Can't say you can have an AK. Can't do it. Even I can't do that. But what I can do is interpret the Second Amendment to mean, all of a sudden, that individuals have the right to a handgun or something. But for all those 1791 to 2008, no, never decided that way. Never, ever came down on the individual right. No, it came down on militia service. That's what the Second Amendment had always been interpreted to mean. And this is why we were able to ban Tommy guns and machine guns and all kinds of guns. And that's why the assault weapons ban in 1994 was constitutional. Duh! Unreal. So these kids know this. This is a learning experience for us. For them, they learned it. They taught them this. This is why Parkland High School is such a great high school. They have advanced placement journalism classes and advanced placement social studies classes and advanced placement government classes. These are the kids that are leading this, and they also know how to tweet. Oh, my God. Yeah, and they have never spent a day in school in their lives without the threat of gun violence in the back of their minds. The kids who went to Columbine High School, they walked out today too. Now think of this. In 1999, the kids that walked out of Columbine High School today to show, unity with the kids in Parkland, they don't even remember Columbine because it happened in 1999. They weren't even born. They weren't even born yet. Most of them. They were born in like 2000, 2001, right? So they walked out today just to show solidarity, just to say, you know what? I can't walk into the school without, thinking about where's the nearest exit. I can't walk into this school without thinking, where would I go? Where would I hide? What would I do? How do I get out? This is crazy. This is what we put our kids through. And they want Congress to know that many of them will be old enough to vote in the midterm elections. And here in the state, if you're 17 in Florida, you can register to vote if you'll be 18 by November 6th, 2018. And they're doing it. They're doing it. And they're going to throw these bums out. They're going to fire them. They're going to tell them, you're fired. Get out. Donald Trump isn't the only one that can fire, people. Seriously. And they are serious about this. They said, they only want three things. They want three things. They want to increase the age for people to purchase weapons. They want to ban assault-style weapons completely. And they want the police forces to become more demilitarized. They see the escalation. These are smart kids. How many shows have we done about the militarization of the police force and how that is a sign of fascism? Never mind that you've got Trump that's talking about, extrajudicial killings of drug addicts like Duterte does and admiring Putin's ability to poison citizens in the UK. Wow, he's a very tough guy. He's very strong. He's very strong. And Putin, he's got like a 98% approval rating. I mean, he's very strong. Oh, please. It's just so sick. So you had today the anniversary. This is sad. I hate to use that word in conjunction with a tragedy, heinous mass shooting here in Florida. Today was the 1 month anniversary. And that is why they walked out of school today to pay respects. And then that turned into a full-blown rally for their three things. Their three things. And I can't believe the third thing is the demilitarization of the police force. That just shocks me. It's just so perfectly beautiful. But you had people at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville who were still recovering from the white supremacist rally. You had Wayne State. Everybody. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.